Good morning. Yesterday was Wednesday, and I made my trip to Roaring Spring, which I'm trying to make a regular thing. On Wednesdays, I, I go to Roaring Spring and back one time a week. Uh, with the holidays and so much other stuff, it's been so complicated, but I'm trying to get back to regular. I had to deliver some scores to Messiah to the First Presbyterian Church in Hollidaysburg. I was hoping to do something at the courthouse in Hollidaysburg, but the office was closed for lunch when I was there. And I did want to mention this. When I was at the First Presbyterian Church, they were having choir rehearsal from 12 noon till 1. The director, an unbelievable pianist, uh, to whom I had to return the scores, and 7 women, uh, one bass, one's covering the bass part, one covering the tenor part, 2 covering the alto part, and 3 sopranos. And I was invited to sit down and sing with them, and I did. I haven't sung that kind of music almost ever, maybe since high school, uh, and uh, and certainly not under those conditions. It was very pleasant. But anyway, that's not the main reason I'm doing this debriefing of the trip. On the way back to Roaring Spring, I had various stops, and I was a little timid about going by the paper mill site again. It was kind of a cold day, and I could have thought of all kinds of excuses for not doing it, but I did. When you go into Roaring Spring from the Hollidaysburg side, sort of from the north, and you go through the gap, as you approach Roaring Spring, there's a little road, looks like, well, it's partially a dirt road, off to the right, that has a name. I think it's called the Paper Mill Road. And several times now, I've gone back down that and drove in to see where it goes. Well, it goes through a beautiful ancient brick arch, and it shares this tunnel, and the arch is under the train track. This is engineering from 100 and probably 120, 100 and maybe 30 years ago, but it's still there, of course, brick arch, and it shares the tunnel with a stream coming out, entering Halter Creek and Cabbage Creek and the outflow from the Roaring Spring, from the big spring. And I like to drive through there. Probably one car a day or maybe one car a week goes through there, but I did. And I went up, and I saw that the very recognizable big black BMW was there, which meant that Jeff Wendell was there. And I thought, why not? I've been there before. He'll probably remember me. I'm going to stop in there because I was hoping to share some ideas with him, and I did. And he made me welcome. Actually, I was very humble and apologetic about it. I said I'd really just like to get an email address or some contact so that I could share some ideas that I have that you might not have thought about this the paper mill, former paper mill site cleanup that he's doing a great job on. But he said, well, he was real reluctant to do that. I wasn't surprised. But he said, why not now? Basically invited me to say my piece. And we talked again for quite a while. Now, it was different that now. I'd say we were a little bit more comfortable with each other. He knew who I was, and remembered some of the stuff I'd said. Some things were cleared up. I managed to tell him a few things that I really wanted to get across to him. My idea about that water tower, that it could be converted into an observation deck, to which he listened, but he said, problem is insurance. If somebody twists their ankle going up there, they could sue me. I'd be ruined. I expected that. Of course, there's replies to that. Well, you cover the insurance with ingress or whatever, or waivers, or you just do such a good job that it's all perfectly safe. Or build a little elevator, all kinds of ideas. But it was enough for me that at least I'd put it into his head. The other thing I had mentioned, I was able to tell him, was that that site could offer the highest and most powerful overshot water wheel in the United States. And we discussed head. He knew what head was, and I told him about the 8.3 cubic feet of water per second. And his figure was 5 million gallons a day. That's what I think he has water rights to. And we discussed that for a while. And he said some stuff that surprised me a little bit about that source. But he was still kind of saying, oh, the regulations you'd have to go through. And, you know, to which I said, hey, I'll do that. I'll go through the government, whatever it takes, because you'd be doing a good thing. You wouldn't be polluting the water at all. And he listened, you know, but basically rejected the idea, which was fine. I thought he might. And we talked about other things as well. Now, stuff I've learned, not too much new, is that there's going to be a road, a cul-de-sac right there, smaller than I imagined, right where his office is, his building. And then a road will go the whole way around the 300-acre property, which means it's going to have to climb the mountain. It's going to have to go along the contour of the mountain and down the other side and come the whole way around. And sounded good. Everything he's done, I think he's gone about it very well. And I feel that Roaring Spring and Morrison's Cove in general should back him and appreciate what he's done and is doing in cleaning that site up. Now he said, I asked him things about, well, landscape architect, are you going to hire one of them? And he said the developer might. The developer probably will. But, you know, and then I thought, well, aren't you the developer? And no, he said he's not a developer. What he does is clean up land like that, and turn it over to a developer, which is, you know, it's fine. I'm surprised that he has such a clear idea of what it's going to look like. But I think when he turns it over, he said he would sell it. He doesn't really, he may keep it, but he would sell it. Well, what else did he say that was new? Another thing, two other things. I mentioned that I wanted to know if he knew about Only in the Cove, the Facebook group for all of Morrison's Cove. And he said, what's Morrison's Cove? I mean, that knocked me almost aback, because Morrison's Cove is practically the nation, the country, and that Roaring Spring is in. I said, well, it's not a county, it's not a township, it's not a borough, it's not a state, but it's this whole area around here enclosed in mountains that people identify with and are very patriotic toward Morrison's Cove. And he said, oh, it's a valley. And I said, well, and there was another guy who looked sort of like me in the way he was dressed, not fancy. I think he was a local guy. And he was almost wanted to get in the conversation too, because to explain what is Morrison's Cove. Well, he'd never really heard of it. And I said, well, anyway, that group's got close to 29,000 followers, apparently. That's what it says on there. And they know what I'm doing, I said. I thought it might be of interest to him that there's that many people that I'm in contact with if they want to hear what I've got to say. He knows about the Roaring Spring campus of Frank's school, that what I've done. He remembered that I'd done that, and I found out that he'd met the owner of the Blank Book Factory almost immediately as soon as he bought the site, and I found out a bunch more. So I wanted to tell you about that, and I made him an offer, you know, a very humble offer, but I managed to make it. I said, you know, if you want to get to know the town of Roaring Spring, where you're actually here, I would be very glad to be your tour guide and drive you around the town in my car, not yours, because your car would be too conspicuous. But if you would like to just kind of take a drive around to see what is the lay of the land around your property, I would be glad to do that. To which he didn't say, yeah, that'd be a good idea, but I got it. He listened. Oh, there may be more to report, but I'm mostly making this video just so that others in and around Roaring Spring or Morrison's Cove can have the latest that I know about how that's coming along. Bye for now.